Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lied.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Yo, 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 what up, what up, what up, what up? Happy Friday, folks. What's the word? What's the word? How everybody feeling, man? Peace and blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. It's good to be back. Hope all is well. Hope you made it home safe and sound. Coach, what's going on, man? What's the word?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Festive.
Oh, yeah.
You see
the weather looking like out there, man?
It's brisk. It's brisk. It's definitely coat weather.
Yeah, for sure.
But you got a few of them, man. They still be out here jogging in shorts and yeah.
Okay. We leave that to them,
man. Yeah. Oh man, shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators, man. I just had to get that out the way real quick before we proceed. You see the title. I got the clip. I'm gonna bring it up here on the big screen just in case y'all not familiar with this one. This brother has to be one of the. I'm gonna save that. My man, he risked it all. He risked it all. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Let me do this. Let me bring this up on the big screen. And I'm gonna let it rock out. We got about 2:34 on the clock. Just in case you're not familiar with the story. And we're just gonna go from there.
Okay, let's get it.
What's worse, the fact that this married head football coach fumbled a multi-million-dollar bag because he couldn't keep it in his pants, or the fact that it was a DoorDash driver that snitched on him. Y'all buckle up because this sports tea is straight up bleach. All right, this is Sharon Moore. He was Key Point was the head football coach at the University of Michigan. Old boy ended up getting fired because he was messing around with one of the staffers who allegedly was one of his subordinates. Like I said, this dude is married, has 3 kids. In fact, his wife had twins last year. Allegedly, it was a DoorDash driver that tipped the school off something fishy was going on because this dude, this DUMMY, got a Plan B delivered to his office. This led to Sharon getting investigated, and the university found out that he was having an inappropriate relationship with a staffer, causing him to get fired with no cause, meaning that he ain't getting paid. Mind you, this dude was making hella bread, y'all. This year alone, he was supposed to make over $6 million. His base salary was over $500,000. And then he was supposed to receive over $5 million in additional compensation. And his contract contained a buyout for $13.9 million. But since he got fired with no cause, yeah, he ain't getting that. The blonde lady here is allegedly the staffer that he was messing with. Her name is Paige Shiver, something like that. But get this, y'all, her daddy, Jeff, is a scout for the Chicago Bears. The reason why everybody thinks she's the mistress is because right after the news broke, she privated all of her social media, took down her LinkedIn, and from what I could find, she was Sharon's executive assistant. Allegedly, over the course of this affair, Sharon knocked this lady up, forced her to get in a bobo, doubled her salary. Allegedly, after he was fired, Sharon broke into Paige's home and threatened to off both himself and her, but luckily the police intervened before anything happened. Sharon has since been arrested and is now under investigation for the alleged assault. Now he is in protective custody. This is his mugshot behind me. The only people who I feel bad for in this situation are his wife and kids, because y'all are going to learn to stop messing with married men. Shit, if I were the wife, depending on the state they got married in, I would look into suing the mistress. Even though he's a dog, Sharon might have grounds to sue DoorDash because that driver ain't had no business to tell his job what he ordered. Let me know what y'all think about this story down below. I don't know what's worse.
Nasty word. Nasty word. I don't even know where I want to start with that one, man. Which is crazy because I just had a conversation yesterday, and the brother had asked, who is more likely to sleep with a married person? The man sleeping with a married woman or the woman sleeping with a married man? And I said, look, in my opinion, you're more likely going to get a woman sleeping with the married man over the other way around. And then this story popped up. And all I could think about was, this man was, you're a coach, you're making millions. It seemed like you got the American dream, you got the family, you got the home, you got the career, and yet and still here we are. Uber done told on you. That's crazy. They delivered, all right. Shit. I bet they ain't getting no 4 stars for that shit. Uber done told on you. You done lost your job. You're most likely about to lose your wife and your kids. What's your initial thoughts on this whole situation, man?
Man, there's so many different ways to unpack and to attack it, but my initial thoughts is, you said all of this derived from the Uber driver dropping off a morning after package at his job. It sounds a lot. A lot of things have happened based off the morning after pill being dropped off at his job. So interesting to see where this story goes.
You know, they've been getting at it for a minute. I don't know how long, like the timestamp, I'm not sure of it. But all right, he's on the road. It's a requirement. He has to constantly be traveling. So he's going to be around a lot of different people. does this make him more or less accountable for the woman's actions and decisions to be with him in spite of knowing that he's married?
What do you mean? Could you
So
elaborate a little bit on that?
so she's a student. She works with him. So she has to know that the man has kids, that he has a wife at home. Who's making the advances? Who's the one who's supposed to step in and say, nah, this can't happen? What is it about someone in his position that makes a woman risk her entire career, her entire brand for somebody like that in general? I mean, I guess my question is who's more or less responsible for why they are where they are right now?
When you say where they are, you mean like all this stuff happening in the news and the media, the
Yeah.
aftermath of all that?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I thought it was the Uber driver or the delivery driver. you dropped off a item. Nobody knew anything until you gave a tip, an anonymous tip for a morning after pill at his job. So that should have been in a box or a container. I'm thinking of the privacy aspect of it. If I get something delivered, I want it to be, delivered, in a package. Everybody that's in the area shouldn't know what items I'm ordering. I mean, I think that's part of the agreement as far as for ordering from those companies. So it just sounds like it's a little bit more to it than me. Than all of a sudden you order the morning after pill, and now somebody's sitting in an apartment talking about stabbing people. Somebody just got arraigned. They didn't get released. They weren't charged on anything. And then all of a sudden there's charges being thrown out. I mean, it just sounds kind of crazy to me. Again, because it all stemmed from a delivery, allegedly. So yeah, I'm be honest with you, man. That's what I'm looking at. I'm more along the lines of PII covering my personal information. Why does somebody know what I'm ordering? That's supposed to be private. Now, why does God and country know what I ordered? That was between me and the company. So it seems like a lot of things kind of failed along the way. What they were doing in their personal lives, that's now the result of it because of that information being exposed. And then now you're uncovering things that you probably would have never known about. So I can't necessarily answer to the mindset of those individuals, though. But that's what I was thinking when I heard about it.
Whoever that driver was, they had to know who that was going to, right? So if I can put my thinking cap on, this is going to coach such and such. So why would they need this, right? Oh, you got some stuff going on. Scandal. Perfect for media coverage. Perfect to get me in the algorithm. Let me go ahead and create some drama. Now, strategically, I think you fumbled and dropped the ball. I don't even think this was your moral compass telling you to do the right thing. I think you just wanted to be messy. And maybe I don't know. It's something about that that's just people will do anything for attention to go viral. I don't know. I don't know. That's a violation. You definitely went against that man's privacy. Someone said he should sue. I mean, you can do that, but the damage is done. Now, whether or not you put all the blame on the driver for reporting it or not, anything in the dock gonna come to light regardless. Let's say the driver never reported it. Will we be having this conversation? Would there be a right and wrong in this situation? And what I mean, would we care that he was sleeping around on his wife? Would it be a story? Would it be a conversation? Because to me, whether or not the guy or girl, whoever it was, went and reported this, it wouldn't have changed the fact that that man was still stepping out on his wife.
No, yeah, I agree with you 100%. But at this day and age, when AI is taking over and the computer is taking over, and then now we got banks and companies and all kinds of people giving away our personal information, and now I have to worry about the delivery driver giving up my personal information and my things. I think we got bigger things to look at, whether it's for clout, whether it's for something that's being done on the TV or the internet. I don't give a shit. Why are you giving away my personal information? And then I definitely think you have an opportunity to sue, because that company, if I'm ordering from you, then it's your obligation to make sure my information is secured. So before we even get to all of that, I would look to the safety of protecting my personal information and ordering whatever it is that I want to order from that particular store. And that store having the obligation to keep my information confidential. So yeah, that's the problem that I would see as far as with the guy sleeping with the young lady and what I have found out about it. It that doesn't necessarily affect me as much as the delivery driver giving up my items, and then that affecting my job and my livelihood. Because at what point was it their right to give up that information? And that's what I'm saying, is you got a right to protect your privacy and your information. So that's what I see the bigger picture in the issue for me. And then everything after that, you can look at how they kind of handling the situation, so you can tell that it wasn't just an honest mistake. It was navigated and curated a certain way. The way that, again, you look at the allegations and the way the charges and everything are kind of coming together. So again, and then as you can look at what Jamel Hill posted earlier, did you get a chance to take a look at that, what I sent you?
I saw I didn't see an actual clip. I saw the part where it said he was busted or some shit like that.
Yeah, busted. And then it was they brought up a bunch of other situations, Ime Udoka's situation not too long ago, and how they're handling the African American coaches versus the Caucasian coaches. So it seems to be the way these things are going about being done. That to me would be more or less the issue, not as far as for him sleeping with his co-worker or somebody else. What makes him any different than somebody that works at USAA that's sleeping with their co-worker, right? So obviously there's an issue there. You got an issue with infidelity. There's communication issues along those lines. But looking at the bigger picture here, it just seems more targeted for me. So that's what I was looking at, just my perspective.
So they're just trying to destroy that man's whole career, basically.
I wouldn't say that they're trying to. I would just say that something happened. Obviously, we don't know what happened, but if you look at the patterns of other coaches, other people that's been in the limelight that have done similar things, the patterns, they all lead to the same thing. So that's one thing you can't run from, is the pattern. The way it's identified, like you mentioned earlier with the young lady being younger, might have been frowned upon in Michigan, the Midwest, the young lady, and then him being in the position that he's in, being a father figure. I mean, it just depends on which position you want to look at it, it looks like he was more outed than anything versus just him slipping up and making a bad decision. There's nothing wrong with somebody outing it, because we talk about if you see something, say something, but then you just start to look at it, the type of people that's being targeted, and making sure it's consistent across the board.
That's my issue. That's my main issue. Don't pick and choose who you want to tell on, right? Because most of us are out here doing wrong anyway. But you'll protect criminals and you'll let other people slide with it. I do believe that a lot of this stuff can be associated with specific groups being targeted. I don't really care if you white, yellow, or green. My nigga, you out here selling drugs and crack to granny from and all of y'all need to go to jail. All of you need to be held accountable. But to put people in an isolated box and then say, oh, magnify them, plaster them all over social media, make them look this way, make them look that way, when you know damn well that we have a large and a vast number of adults out here that are just as bad or not worse. Ultimately, at the end of the day, for me, you wouldn't be here if you just would have kept it in your pants and stayed loyal, stayed at home with your family. You wouldn't even be in this position at all. Because my thing is, motherfuckers is out here looking to make money off of your name every day. Like they just be waiting for you to do something so they can clip and then add their hashtags and all. People just be waiting to do it. They broke. They trying to find a quick way to come up. You can't afford, especially being in his position. Matter of fact, just if you got a brand or you got something that's worth holding on to, you can't afford to be out here just messing around with any and everybody. For one, because of what you said about being targeted as a black person. You already got an uphill battle. They already want to make you look like you are a monster. You're somebody that should be scared of in the alley, walk across the street, this, that. You already have a bunch of uphill shit that you got to deal with. And you telling me you got money? What? And y'all out here really just being randomly reckless with your body, making deals with people, sleeping with people. It's people on social media right now, clipped up, going into their research bag, digging into all your skeletons. They want to be the one to hit 20,000 subscribers. They want to be the one that break the case. Oh, it was them that unlocked the mysteries of such and such. They don't even care about you for real. So my thing is, all right, I understand the fetish. I mean, most of us don't have self-discipline, but I'm not risking my reputation for no ass. He was supposed to make what, 6 million next year? You pulling in all that bread, bro? You know, it's men out here that can't even get a relationship. They can't even get someone interested in them enough to want to sleep with them. You know how much there's people out here lonely as hell right now. These niggas ain't had relationships or been touched in years. You got the job, you got the money, you got the house, and you just said, I'm gonna go ahead and play Russian roulette with all of it. I'm not saying that the Uber driver is wrong, because that's dirty. That's dirty as hell. If I'm him, I'd be pissed, but I can't be more pissed at him than I am myself. Because I'm the one who pursued her. I'm the one who accepted those advances. So all of my indiscretions are a byproduct of everything that I'm dealing with now. You would have, if you would have did your job, tended to your players, and went the hell home, you wouldn't have the opportunist. But they would have still been there. They're not going to go anywhere. It doesn't matter if you play it safe or not. I you with the mic. Chef, what
Yeah,
up?
I'm gonna disagree with you, man, because you don't know what people's situations are like. You don't know what their relationships consist of. So, if that was something, we don't know if that's something him and his wife had an agreement on. Hey, look, as long as you keep it on the low, don't be out there, embarrassing me, putting me all over TV and stuff like that. So again, not so matter of factly, but just to be again remain open minded. Being 2025, there's people are out there making decisions, and they are adjusting and pivoting how they see fit within their relationships, not necessarily sticking to traditional, what you would consider, our mothers or grandmothers relationships. So keeping that in mind, again, that's why it goes back to the privacy piece. It's, if you were concerned and you had an issue, then that's something you probably should have took to the members first. If you had good intentions behind it, not running to the media and doing all those other things. So I would have to disagree from that standpoint. And then, like you said, being the brand, being the business, those are things you talk about who's underneath that umbrella of a brand in the business. So if you're talking about it, you take care of it in-house, and somebody outside the house comes in and chimes in and versus their perspective and projects that onto you. Now that's something beyond your control. That's could be something that was negotiated to say, keep me out of X, Y, and Z. And then that person who completely violated your privacy put everybody in X, Y, and Z. So as you're saying, the accountability piece, absolutely. It's only applicable to the folks that maybe did not talk about something, but the accountability piece comes in by being an adult and having a conversation amongst each other. You can't account for somebody outside of the so-called circle, just going out and looking for whatever it was they were looking for. And again, if they had good intentions, it probably wouldn't have hit the media. It probably would to hit somebody's inbox, something along those lines, a little bit more subtle, I would think. So again, not to project, how people, conduct their relationships, just to keep an open mind and say people are out there practicing different type of relationships. But again, like you said, if you are practicing these type of relationships, you got to be aware that these could be the ramifications that come along with it, because you can't expect everybody to understand what you're doing and what you're exercising.
I like this. I actually got a question, and you brought up a good point, which gave me a different thought process on the side, because I'm looking at it now from two different sides. Because if we're being completely honest, there is a group out there that they ask for the millionaire. They ask for the successful guy. We hear it all the time. Like hypergamy is up there in 2025. So, given your different direction and approach to this, are you saying that it's more likely a chance that this woman who just had twins last year agreed to specific terms and conditions because of his status, which allowed her to be okay with him stepping outside of the relationship as long as it didn't reach back to her? And in turn, he can basically go out here and fuck around with whoever he wants as long as it doesn't damage her. Just make sure that you're responsible when you go out here and doing your dirt, because there are a lot of celebrities and actors and things of that nature that do practice that type of stuff. Is that what you believe this could be? Because I mean, that's possible, but then again, I mean, let's say that is true. If she's okay with that, wouldn't everybody else know about this? Wouldn't his staff know about this? Wouldn't his team know about this?
Hey man, you can't give me too many questions, bro. I ain't gonna remember all of them.
Well, you can just pick one, pick a card.
Holy shit! Give me a chance to respond to something. All right. So what I'll say is I can't tell you what anybody would do. What I can say is what two consensual adults can do is have a conversation. There's people out there that have kinks. There's people out there that have fetishes. There's people out there that are openly sexually. And, you know, we're in a world now where people aren't shamed and they're completely open with being who they are because they can find somebody that will accept them to be whoever they are. And I think that's where we are in 2025. So with that being said, I think absolutely somebody who could have had kids, twins, as you put it, you know, less than 14 months ago, could have the conversation and be open-minded, you know, whether if they're willing to be open to that partner, you know, going out there and exploring themselves and, you know, finding happiness in different ways. I think we no longer live in a place where everybody is, as they say, closed-minded to not even think about it, because you do have people in relationships. One may be more sexual than the other. One may be, you know, not necessarily as advanced or as inquisitive as the other person is. And that doesn't mean that there's something wrong. But again, in a relationship, it's all about balance. So if that's not something necessarily you into and you're comfortable within your skin and you can have a conversation and you can comprehend the other person's wants and needs, and that's between you and that other person in that relationship to find that common denominator, what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with as far as for anything that you're doing. Not everything is based around sex. Some people just enjoy having a great conversation with somebody. Does that mean when you go out in public that you limit them to certain people that they can have a conversation with? Does that mean you limit them to the depth of the conversations that they can go into with other people? You understand what I'm saying? So it's not as simple and it's not as just everything is so sexual. I think that's just something in America that we tend to gravitate towards to. It's just this whole sexual thing. If people get to know themselves and understand how they're truly happy, everybody, it doesn't revolve around sex. Some people just, you know, they like to go hiking. Some people just like to be around plants and flowers. And if that's what your person likes, then I would suggest maybe leaning more towards that direction and spending more time in the area that they're comfortable in. And that probably could be something that can help relationships build. Again, the issue goes back to the video with the driver taking it upon themselves and the responsibility to report something. And the issue isn't that, you know what I mean, that they having an issue as far as for sexually and those things. Is the driver, if they felt there was that big of an issue, maybe should have contacted them and identified it that way first before going public. So yeah, to answer your question, the first three questions, absolutely, man. It just depends on the type of relationship that you want to have with somebody. Your level of intimacy and what you consider to be intimacy is completely up to you. And then it's up to you to articulate that to your spouse, and then your spouse to want to receive or reciprocate that to you.
Yeah, I ain't buying that. I think bro was keeping that shit from his wife. I don't think she signed up for that shit, bro. I don't, man, because I mean, think about what they said, man. He was about to crash out. He was about to kill himself and the lady though. Like he was willing to go there and they stopped it because he knew that shit was about to be over with. Why would he?
It hit the news, bro. Yeah, I mean, it's all over with when it hit the news. You specified you ain't getting your check. You know what I'm saying? Those are all life-altering things that are happening, pivoting from what? Something that you didn't have control over. So yeah, emotional responses is what he had. So absolutely, emotional response is what you're gonna get when you don't have control of the situation. stabbing yourself, poking yourself, whatever the heck it can be. Because now everybody's embarrassed. All this shit is on local news. You know what I mean? It's on ESPN, it's on CNN, BBC. So yeah, you're absolutely right, man. It's listening an emotional response. But again, we don't know what the objective was or where the stuff even came from. We just started out by talking about the Uber driver reporting some shit that they thought they should.
Hey, I ain't gonna. You bad. You more bad at the Uber driver than he probably is.
Right.
That nigga, man, he fucked up. He did some real grimy shit.
Right. Yeah. Hey, but that comes back to what we talk about, whole accountability. You know what I'm saying? And if you're trying to help somebody, then it's the way you go about addressing it. Because if you truly, and this is what happens. Again, it depends on what your objective is. If you're really trying to help somebody, you bring it to them or talk to them about it. You know what I mean? If your thing is I'm submitting this to a local news organization and trying to get a check, and like you said, I think bad intentions are involved. And but then the catch-22. We just did a video less than 10 hours ago talking about if you see something, say something. You know what I'm saying? So then, you can't win for losing.
Yeah. Shit. Shannon Sharp not too long ago had an arrangement with a woman, and he ended up coming up off of millions fucking around with that chick, and she was a youngin', and she got out bad on him. Do you? For some reason, it's hard for me to believe that somebody who agrees to a specific arrangement would go out of their way to see that all destroyed, unless what you're saying is true. The driver intentionally and maliciously went out of his way or her way to ruin that man's entire career. Maybe there was some blackmail involved. Maybe it was just his lucky day. He pulled a ticket from the gas station and hit the lottery. I don't know if there's a time, and I can't, like, somebody fact check me. Is there a time and day where a woman said, you know what, I'm okay with you having multiple women. As long as I'm the main one, I'm the one that's in this house, you can go ahead and do whatever you want. And I ain't gonna say shit. Why? Because my bills are paid for. I ain't gotta worry about my hair, my makeup, none of that. As long as I'm good, you can go ahead and do whatever the hell you want. I ain't gonna say a word. Has there been a story or a situation where someone's had that arrangement and they reneged on it and they just say, you know what, I changed my mind. You violated our vows, and I want this and that for emotional distress and blah blah blah.
Man, I will say I have no idea. But what I will say is there's nothing wrong with somebody starting out by saying they will do something and then changing their mind, right? Because we talk about it time and time again about growth. And what we talk about, growth happens in uncomfortable situations. And what's more uncomfortable than putting yourself in that type of situation where you're compromising yourself and you thought you might be okay with it. But again, that's why having those conversations and being with somebody that you trust is supposed to be a safe space. And it shouldn't be any repercussions about changing your mind about anything. Now, that goes without saying. If you having conversations and you just frequently changing your mind constantly, then that's something completely different. But if you say you're willing to try something and you along the way you change your mind, the first thing that come to my mind is Trey in the back of the car with Doughboy. Yo, pull over. You know what I'm saying? Depending on who you're talking to, he could be the hero or the zero of the movie. But that's a memorable line because he started out, let's go get him. And then he changed his mind because as they were riding, cooler heads prevailed. And he was like, yo, let me out. So I don't think there's anything wrong with changing your mind along the process. I think, again, the grown-up thing to do, as Rob kept saying, we grown, is you're making a conscious decision to say something. It's harder for people to speak up. You know how many people, we talk about people, men suffering in silence, and we talk about other people, sometimes suffering in silence. But why do people suffer in silence? It's obviously harder for people to speak up. And so, again, I just think that's something you should champion. You shouldn't downplay it. I'd rather somebody constantly talking and constantly going and just try to get them to ease up off the throttle a little bit than trying to promote them and provoke them to be more outspoken, to be more outgoing. Because, again, it might find yourself where you care more than they do versus if you can't get them to be quiet, you're just trying to give them a way to get a little tack. And to be a little bit more effective, you know what I mean? To just, take it down a notch. And if you think about it from, different perspectives, whatever works for you, whatever analogy works, it's easier for somebody who's more outgoing versus somebody who you have to push along. It's basically what I'm trying to say.
Man, we have this conversation before the ring and you agree to these terms, tell me before we walk down the aisle. For real, man. Don't wait until you say I do and then you have a change of heart. Because now we're gonna have to figure something out. We're gonna have to renegotiate something.
Right. Expectation management. That's what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have those conversations.
That's why I think that a lot of that shit dumb. Like, I mean, you can do whatever you want. That's cool. But look into the future. Overall, you basically said that this man has everything that you could ever want. He has the money, he has the height, he has this, he has that. You were willing to sacrifice your self-esteem and a part of yourself to be acclimated to his lifestyle. And you have every right to change your mind on that. But my thing is, why don't you figure that out before you decide to pursue superficial premises in the first place? Because I'm like, I know eventually some people are not going to just want to share you forever. You're eventually going to want the person to yourself. So why not figure that out? Why you're still free, you're not damaged by any things or transitions between you and the other person, and go from there. Wouldn't that be healthier?
What you don't think there's any compromises in relationships?
Of course.
Okay. So if there's compromises, then you would agree to say that it's based on what you deem to be valuable or important in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And us being individuals, you might not value the same things on a scale again, right? If it's based till 10, would you say 10? You may value some things at a 10. I might value them at a 7, or your companion may value them at a 7. Some things they may value at a 9. You value at like a 5. But you're finding a balance to still find a way to coexist, right? So, I think that's what people are doing, is they're finding that balance to coexist, because you got to think about the other thing that's not happening is people aren't standing and they're not problem solving. We keep talking about this over and over and over again. So if somebody's not problem solving in a relationship, that means there's a void somewhere. I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm saying people are nowadays, because another thing we keep talking about is transactional relationships. So with the lack of problem solving, the increase in transactional relationships, if a problem comes up, now we're bartering for certain things. Okay, if I give on this, you maybe give on that. It's not if I work on these things to become better and we can become better as a team, it's just more or less, hey, look, all right, well, if you can go do this and I can go do that, we can still get to that place we were trying to go. Does that make any sense? So it's kind of like, instead of learning your path home, you're learning the shortcut home. And so instead of us learning the path home first and then maybe developing shortcuts home, we're going straight to the shortcuts. And there's never really a path home. The shortcuts is instant gratification, how to instantly get you satisfied, how to instantly get you happy to whatever it is you instantly need to be, versus going through it and learning how to develop and how to consistently make you happy, how to understand that even though I may not be in the mood to do those things to make you happy, I know in order for us to continue to move forward, I'm going to do those things because you deserve it. You've done things for me. You reciprocated when I may or may not have deserved it. You understand what I'm saying? So now you're taking away those earned things and you're replacing it with entitlement. Nobody's really earned anything. Everybody thinks they're just entitled something because they're willing to negotiate. And then some things, as you're saying, just might not be negotiable. So, you know what I mean? That's how I look at it, if that makes any sense.
I got you. I got you. So, like, at the end of the day, man, you got too much going. You got too much invested. I don't know why. I'm just tight because, man, you got all of this going on, man. Why would you even waste it on something like that? You might as well just stayed single. For real. Stay single and paid for it. That's it. And then you wouldn't have to worry about being extorted. You wouldn't have to worry about paparazzi and all that. I mean, they'll still be around, but they wouldn't be all in your business. And you wouldn't have people just lying in wait, ready to destroy you. And I don't know. That's crazy.
No, I agree. I think we're transitioning from one culture to the next. We just hadn't identified it yet. We went from cancel and cut off culture to sue your ass culture. You know what I mean? How can I get a quick dollar out of you? And I'm gonna use prepaid legal, and I'm gonna sue you. And that's what seems to be happening. And we're watching it because it's happening right now, and people are trying to navigate it in real time. Like you're saying, why would you risk all of that? I don't think you would. I think he just didn't see that the other thing coming because I don't think sometimes people in the middle of it, like you said, they're not from that culture or that cloth. They might not be able to see it lining up against them. As you keep saying, why would you do this? Why would you do that? Some people just can't see it, man, especially when they're in the end of it. And then life is the best experience. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're learning and other people are watching in real time what's going on. And it's probably something that's going to keep popping up as we go through.
What's the lesson in all this for you? I mean, all right, I know you mad at the driver. I get that. You know what I'm saying? I'm pissed off at the driver now. I wasn't even thinking about that. Now I'm just like, man, damn, bro. Why'd you do that, man? You could have just went on about your business, man.
Because that's no different than the one walking in the house taking the picture, the video, and uploading. Yeah. All right, whatever. That's for another time. Go ahead.
I'm just like, all right, bro. You a coach. You got people that look at you like you a hero, and you this, that, and that, and that, and the third. Right. I don't know what your arrangements was with your wife.
Right.
I don't get the feeling that she's what she's signed up for. But I mean, right.
You talking about me personally?
Oh no, I'm just saying in general. I mean,
Okay, yeah. Well, and that's the main thing is again, I've said it about 3 or 4 times, man. Is you take the emotion out of it. You know what I mean? You try to think about it. Again, I'm not saying my perspective, or any of those things. I'm facts. I'm saying you take the emotion out of it, and then you really think about it, man, from different perspectives. Because again, being around the world 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 times, man, is you realize America's a small place, and they also are very close minded. And a lot of people come to America because of how open it is, and for all the opportunities. But if you don't travel and just get a different perspective, man, I think that's kind of some of the things that limit us in some of the capacities. But no, at the end of the day, man, is take the emotion out of it and just try to understand it from that individual's perspective. That's really what it boils down to. And then, man, I got about 3 degrees in psychology. So again, listen to Freud and all those other dudes. If you think about how they started with psychology, it wasn't necessarily on the greatest terms either. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not so far fetched. I think it's again, everything goes in cycles, and we're at about that point right now where there's nothing new under the sun. So just got to be open minded, and just keep an open mind. No judgment, because just like we don't want to be judged, you don't want to judge anybody else, man. Always be open to learning.
man, fuck all that. If y'all ain't want to judge, if y'all ain't want to judge, give that man back his money. Give that man back his money. Y'all don't want to judge. Like, what the fuck we talk? That shit crazy to me, man. But it's all good. It's all good. These are just my opinions. The arrangement, the ladies, you dumb as hell. You dumb as hell if you accept that shit. I don't. Even if you told me you were okay with sharing your man, I don't believe that shit. I don't. You might be all right with it for a second until the other woman outwomans you.
Listen, man, but what you keep saying is for a second, which is nothing wrong with that. It's the important part is to have the communication about it. Again, there's nothing wrong with people changing their mind. What people have to understand is it's about the communication piece. That's where the issues come into play at. Because if you don't communicate stuff, then that's when the emotions come into play. That's what I'm saying. That's when they say, like, the gentleman tried to stab himself a couple of times or whatever. It's 100% correct what you're saying, but it's when there's a change of mind or change of heart, you need to communicate that, and that's the important part to take away from everything. You know what I mean? No kidding. Everything else that we were talking about is it's about the communication piece. So yeah, if you're communicating, you can't be mad with somebody who's openly and being genuinely honest, and that's the only thing we're talking about is an era where you don't know what's going on. And that's the problem when you start talking about love, feelings, emotions. Everybody's assuming they know what somebody else is thinking or feeling instead of just asking the hard questions because they're scared of the hard answers. One thing you don't want is somebody tell you they're not feeling you the way you feeling them, right? That's when you start having the hard conversations. And that's what people don't want.
Chef asks, do you prefer Fruit or Joan? I don't know if I pronounced that right.
Freud, yeah. Neither one, but you can always read up on Joan a little bit.
I don't know who neither one of them niggas is, so don't ask me. I'm just shit. I'm just here, my nigga. I'm just here.
It's Friday, man. Don't matter. Do what you gotta do, man.
Yeah. It's all good. My final thoughts though.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Y'all need to have them conversations. You do. Go ahead, get them NDAs, contracts, all that. At this point, you better, especially if you got money. Do it because If I see some water on aisle 6, I'm definitely going to take the slip. And I'm and I'm suing you. Yes, I am.
My neck and my back.
Hell yeah. Y'all be too comfortable, way too comfortable.
Nah, for sure.
But yeah, man. Anything you want to say before we get up out of here? Shout out to Chef. Shout out to Squish Arcana, man.
Nah, man. Hey, like I said, none of that stuff is again, it ain't none of my personal beliefs. I'm just being a coach, you just have to be open-minded, you know what I mean, and open and being able to have conversations with people. And no judgment, no perspective. It's just having an open conversation and being able to understand. And again, that's what it goes down to, with understanding personalities. And that's why, I do personality assessments, you know what I mean, to help people communicate, learn how to communicate, and how to be effective communicators with themselves. And it's just something that's really undervalued right now in a world full of lack of communication. You know what I mean? So that's just something we can all do is, try to communicate better, try to listen better, try to comprehend better, try to be better. Out of here.
Real quick to the people, the barcode up at the top is for Coach Trail. If y'all want to scan that and tap in, you can do that. There's something weird or something strange in the neighborhood because when I do certain live streams, my barcodes don't show up, but it just happened to be on this one. So let me go ahead and put that up there real quick before we get out of here. Salutes to everybody in the chat. Salutes to the people, with the feedback, and this was a good one. I'm definitely about to chop this one up. Be careful with your money, who you pour into, who you allow around you in your circle, and make sure that you're very fluent and clear on where you stand with the people that you're dealing with, especially on an intimate level. Outside of that, we about to get up out of here, man. Y'all be easy.
Peace.